Breaking moments ago, new reporting from the Wall Street Journal sheds more light on that book Ghislaine Maxwell compiled for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday in 2003. The book that contained a letter bearing Trump's signature and had the outline of a naked woman. The Journal now has details of other letters in that book, including former President Bill Clinton, Wall Street billionaire Leon Black, fashion designer Vera Wang, and media owner Mort Zuckerman. That's according to documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. More from the Journal's reporting. The professionally bound birthday book had multiple volumes and included a table of contents that listed the contributions organized into groups. While many writers weren't famous, some categories had notable people. Clinton and Trump were listed under the Friends group, along with about 20 other associates, such as Black, Zuckerman, former Victoria's Secret leader Leslie Wexner, attorney Alan Dershowitz, and the late Jean-Luc Brunel, who ran a modeling agency. Now, we should note, NBC News has not seen or verified these materials. A spokesman for Clinton declined to comment on the birthday message, which was reviewed by the Journal. He referred the Journal to a previous statement that the former president had cut off ties more than a decade before Epstein was arrested in 2019, didn't know about Epstein's alleged crimes. Black, Zuckerman, and Wang all declined to comment to the Journal. Back with us, Christy Greenberg and Tim O'Brien.
As this was breaking, people that I know were in my text message inbox saying, well, are Democrats going to continue to be on this beat now since apparently Bill Clinton was in the files? And I think now is a good opportunity to play what Congressman Robert Garcia, who's the ranking member on the House Oversight Committee, had to say.
People have said, well, who's in the files? Who could be mentioned? We don't care. We don't care how powerful a person is, how much influence a person had, who they knew, if they were in politics, if they were in business. If you harmed and abused children, minors, young women, then you need to be held accountable for your crimes, and the Oversight Committee is ready to do just that.
That was earlier today, Tim, in Long Beach, well before this reporting came out. Your thoughts?
I think, I don't think the Democrats are interested in anyone else in this except for Donald Trump.
That's a mistake.
No, I think they're happy to say that we're comfortable talking about Bill Clinton being in these files because his name has been spread through all of this from the beginning. I don't think the goal of this on the Democratic side of the ledger is necessarily coming from a place to see justice. And I'm not saying that they're wrong for pursuing it that way. I think this is a highly politicized investigation, and they're looking for a political outcome first and foremost. I also hope further justice gets done if they uncover any more information about sexual predators, particularly sexual predators targeting young girls. I think this Wall Street Journal story doesn't do anything more than put extra and important detail on what we already know, that Jeffrey Epstein networked with a powerful group of people, mainly men, that it's possible that that group of men tried to engineer a cover-up to either protect Jeffrey Epstein or keep their own names out of the press. They ultimately failed to do that. I think the other thing this establishes, and it's important in this libel lawsuit that Trump has filed against the Journal, Trump has repeatedly said, I didn't write the letter. Well, the Wall Street Journal has never said he wrote the letter. They said that he contributed a letter to a book that bore his signature. And Donald Trump rarely writes any of his own things anyway. He doesn't write his own email. He doesn't write his own books. So this argument that they have libeled him because they knowingly published a letter that was a fabrication, which is the line Trump is going on, keeps getting undermined by the fact that he had his own emissaries delivering this letter to Ghislaine Maxwell, and that she was close to Epstein, and that it got published alongside all of these other people. Again, this still comports with what we already know, but it keeps this fire alive around the idea of a cover-up.
Anything legal in there? Anything that points you in a certain direction?
Well, just looking at whether or not the letter came from him, whether or not he wrote it, but whether he contributed it, I would say that the details in this article seem to lend credence to the fact that he did. Yes. because I initially looked at it and I was like, birthday letter. He's writing a birthday letter. He doesn't get Melania birthday gifts. Like, that's reported every year. Like, what is he doing here? But if you look at this is an elite circle of people, right? You've got Bill Clinton, you've got Wall Street billionaire Leon Black. Like, you've got a number of real players here. And Donald Trump is all about being in that elite circle. And it shows that others, at least Leon Black in this article, are also contributing kind of dirty poetry, like a dirty poetry society. Maybe that was a guideline that Ghislaine Maxwell gave them for what they were looking for this book for him. So all of that tends to suggest to me that, yes, this letter was contributed from him. I agree. Did he write it? Probably not. I think a lot will depend on. I want to see the signature. I mean, it's a very distinctive signature.
Just going back to what you said, obviously it's politically driven, but the Democrats, from a messaging point of view, have to be exactly where Garcia is. This is across the board. This is horrific, and this is not there. This is bipartisan.
We don't care who's in there.
We're going to go after him.
Yes.
Because otherwise you have no credibility doing what you're doing.
I think you've got Democrats are actually pretty unified in their messaging. And I thought one of the most interesting pieces of reporting that came out today, Simone, is about the way that the White House is now handling this, which is to say only top officials are allowed to comment on it. They're going through a vetting process. They want everyone else to remain quiet. On some level, that is them operating like a normal White House, where not everyone and their mother is allowed to sound off on the news of the day.
Correct. It's like, oh, my goodness, a comm strategy with adults actually just entered the room. Caroline Levitt is no longer in charge. However, look, there have been many White Houses throughout history that have tried to manage a crisis. And it hasn't worked out well. It didn't work out well for the Clinton White House. It didn't work out well for Nixon. It doesn't ever work out well. It didn't work out well for Joe Biden. Okay, when the special counsel was appointed, and there was news that there were these files, classified documents in one of his offices. It just never works out well for folks. So I think that the Trump administration is trying to put the genie back in the bottle. But the reality is that it's out. And Democrats, what I heard from Greg Meeks, what I heard from Robert Garcia the other day when we sat down with him at the table, it was that we didn't start this. We didn't want this. This isn't our issue. But since they put it on the table, here we are.
And that's true. That's completely true. The Democrats didn't start this. This started from within Trump's own White House. They set this in motion 3 weeks ago by popping the balloon that every MAGA conspirator had, which was Jeffrey Epstein was murdered. It was a cover-up. He didn't kill himself, and that the documents all amounted to a cover-up. And Trump's own White House said there's no secret list. And we believe he killed himself. And that is when the fire started.
That is when the fire started, and baby, it's still burning.